Interest rates are at nearly 7%, and it looks like the Fed is going to increase basis point rates again. We're going to talk about that today, along with our weekly market update. And check this out today on The Brian Hirsch Show. What is up? Good afternoon on this Monday, July the 10th, 2023, wherever you may be. So, very delighted that you have elected to join me today in our weekly broadcast of The Brian Hirsch Show. And I wanted to touch bases today on some concerning news coming in from a couple of colleagues that I have. The first would be from Pride Stromzit. She is also giving us, the update today on interest rates. But I got an email from her this morning that said below is what rates are looking like today for an FHA, 30-year fixed, 660 mid FICO score. We're looking at anywhere between 6.5 to 6.875%. And this is what she said. She said, we had several hits last week. So if you saw the broadcast a couple of weeks ago with Samantha Zumwalt, what they mean by that is the bond market, right? The bond market, struggled a little bit last week. We had two inflation numbers. This is Pride speaking this week, and both are expected to be good, meaning that we're expecting inflation to have slowed. Then she says, however, it appears that the Fed is not going to care and that they will keep going a little longer with their increases. So far today, we are seeing positive market movement. So hopefully we will get some relief from last week's hits. Ouch. This also came in from a friend and colleague of ours. This is from Craig Lawrence over at the Loan Depot. Under our more rate hikes ahead, he said the minutes from the Fed's June meeting showed that the Fed is planning additional hikes to their benchmark Fed funds rate this year. This is the interest rate for overnight borrowing for banks, and it is not the same as mortgage rates. The two are related, though, as we've explained in an earlier broadcast. You can go back and watch our video with Samantha Zumwalt. When the Fed hikes the Fed funds rate, they are trying to slow the economy down and curb inflation. The minutes also showed that members decided against a hike at their meeting in June, citing concerns over economic growth, so they could have more time to assess the incoming data. However, some participants indicated that they favored a 25 basis point hike last month. What is the bottom line? Interestingly, the Fed wants to continue hiking even though inflation is coming down, and their base case is still their base case is still for a mild recession later this year, which is what, again, we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Samantha. If they believe we are going to enter a recession in the fall, do they really need to continue hiking the Fed funds rate? Thanks to Craig Lawrence for sharing that information with us. So what it comes down to is, the irony is, for the real estate market to enjoy some good news as it relates to affordability, interest rates, and so on and so forth, at least in the immediate future, we need some bad news in the economy. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but what this comes down to is 3 years ago, with all the printing of COVID relief money. I mean, just printing it, and pumping that money into the economy and paying people not to work. What that did is it loosened the money supply to a place at the same time that labor costs became higher, and at the same time that manufacturing and goods and services slowed way down. So the supply side was constricted for goods and services at the same time as all the printing of money created incredible demand for goods and services. And this includes, of course, the real estate industry. That you had inflation go out of control. Well, now the Fed is like, uh-oh, we have inflation. We need to slow down the economy by making money, the borrowing of money, more expensive. And hopefully that'll curtail and slow things down. But everybody's predicting in the fall we're going to hit a recession. The definition of a recession meaning that the economy shrinks, our GDP, our gross domestic product shrinks rather than expands. That's all that means. Because sometimes people hear the word recession and they think that means, well, that means it's going to be a depression or a crash. It's not what it means. It means that the economy doesn't expand; it contracts. So, what this means for the real estate industry is a recession would likely mean lower rates, making homes more affordable, thereby stimulating activity in the real estate market. Maybe next week I'll bring up the statistics. There's only been one, if I remember correctly, out of the last 5 recessions where the real estate market did not grow during the recession, or meaning the median price of homes, where the price of homes grew during the recession. The only exception was 2008, and that was mostly because the recession was caused by the real estate market. So if that's true and we have a softening of rates in the fall and homes become more affordable, then we're going to see price increases in the fall. So what this means for you as the consumer, if you're thinking about buying a house, I just had a client I was working with last week, and I just told him, listen, guys, I know the rates are high, but you need to buy a house, because if you wait until the rates soften and homes become more affordable, you're going to have more competition with other buyers who are getting into the market. And that is going to create multiple offers on the listings, particularly those that are in good shape and good neighborhoods around the median sale price, which of course means, bidding wars and higher prices. Whereas if you buy today, perhaps you don't have as much competition and you can get in even though it's a higher rate. And if the rates soften in 6 months, you make 6 payments, you can refi and get into a lower interest rate. So I hope that helps you guys. I wish I had better news for you this week as it relates to interest rates, but that's where we are. So let's get to this week's market update. Before we do that, if you would please like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. It helps us. The algorithm likes people liking, clicking, and subscribing and commenting and activity. And then the show begins to gain a wider audience, and we can help more people succeed in life and in real estate. So let's get to this week's market update. This again is for July 10th, 2023. In the last 30 days we sold 374 homes. Median sale price of those homes, $418,750. So just a tick lower than it was a week ago. Last week it was $420,000. Year over year, we sold 448 homes during the same span. The median sale price at that time was $436,250. So we've sold just under 17% fewer homes this month than we did 1 year ago. and the prices are only 4% lower. In escrow, we have 576 homes in escrow, and we have 615 active listings. And again, as I mentioned a moment ago, our current interest rates are between 6.5% and 7% for an FHA. For a conventional loan, it's actually a little higher. You're looking at 7.5% for a conventional loan. Okay, so let's get to this week's edition of Check This Out. I learned about this week. This is pretty cool, you guys. There is an app called TaskRabbit. So you can go on to either the Google Play or your Apple Store, download the app. And if you've got something around your house, maybe a tree that needs to be trimmed, or maybe, some yard work that needs to be done, or maybe a toilet that needs to be fixed, or, maybe some loose wires, or, some handyman work, these kinds of things, you can use TaskRabbit to find local handymen in the area to come do the work for you. And this is something that comes up a lot in my world, and I've got great people at my disposal. But that's part of the leverage in being good at real estate, is having lots of contractors and vendors that I can call on to help. But this puts you in that situation where you can gain some leverage in having people come by and do work for you on your house at a reasonable price. TaskRabbit, go check it out. Okay, short show today. Only, we're going on 12 minutes. I do appreciate you tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week, hopefully with some better news as it relates to interest rates. Until then, we are serving your dreams, and we will see you next week on The Brian Hirsch Show.